The coolness of the cold bricks when my knee touched them snapped me back to awareness. In my ear, Xie Xingyao's resolute voice, bowing toward the imperial throne. I earnestly beseech your majesty to approve. Release the engagement between me and Su Qingyan, the legitimate daughter of the Su family. I have made up my mind. I am prepared to die. I clench my sleeve, knuckles whitening, and the waves of shock in my eyes are all suppressed. I have been reborn. Reborn on the day Xie Xingyao publicly begged your majesty to break the marriage. In a previous life, I knelt in the great hall just like this. Hearing that he would break off the engagement, I immediately collapsed in tears, grabbing at his robe to plead, accusing him of ingratitude, making a scene that drew the attention of officials and Confucian scholars throughout the court, and even the emperor wore a look of displeasure. Although the engagement was not immediately dissolved, I earned a reputation as jealous and mad. Xie Xingyao grew to hate me more, then turned to attach himself to the daughter of the Grand Princess. When my family fell from power, he handed over a letter to withdraw the engagement again, and accused the Su family of embezzlement, causing my entire clan to be exterminated. I was given a poison wine myself and died with a heart full of resentment. Su Qingyan, do you have something to say? The emperor's voice carried authority, his gaze resting on me, as if waiting for me to cry and rage just as in my previous life. The assembled officials and the civil and military officials all stared in unison, with a mix of sympathy, mockery, and more indifference that just wanted to watch the spectacle. Everyone knew that the union of the Su and Xie families was a good match, but now Xie Xingyao insisted on breaking off the engagement, simply because the Su family was in decline and unworthy of the rapidly rising Xie family, let alone worthy of the power and status he sought to cling to. Xie Xingyao also turned to look at me, the corners of his eyes harboring a touch of impatience and disdain, as if certain I would entangle with him just as I did in my previous life, even prepared to deal with my crying. If he dares to propose ending the engagement in the Great Hall today, it's because he calculated that I wouldn't let go of him, that the Su family wouldn't dare offend the Xie family, and that the emperor would not want to offend someone so indispensable to power. But he doesn't know. I am no longer the Su Qingyan who used to be obsessed with him and willing to humble myself to dust for him. The blood and tears of the past have already crushed the foolishness deep in my bones, leaving only bone-deep calm and resolve. I slowly bow to kowtow, my forehead lightly touching the golden bricks, the cool air seeping through the texture of my skin. My tone is as calm as still water, sans any ripple, yet every word strikes clearly, resounding through the hall like a resounding clank against the beams and pillars. Your Majesty, I, the humble woman, am willing to break off the engagement. As soon as these words are spoken, the hall instantly quiets. Even the emperor is startled for a moment, then raises an eyebrow, seemingly quite surprised. Xie Xingyao's expression stiffens even more, contempt in his eyes replaced by astonishment. He clearly did not expect me to agree so readily. Without a single word of entanglement, the surrounding officials murmur in whispers, their gazes toward me filled with curiosity. How did the Su family's legitimate daughter, once rumored to be obsessed with Xie Xingyao, change her temper overnight? Do you know what breaking off the marriage means? The emperor spoke, his tone edged with playful malice. A woman who breaks off an engagement loses her reputation, and it will be hard for you to find a suitable match in Nanchuan in the future. Your Su family's face will also be damaged. I kowtowed again, my posture still upright, my tone neither servile nor arrogant. I, the commoner woman, understand, but matters of marriage require two to be in love. Since young Master Xia has no heart to marry me, forcing a melon that isn't ripe won't be sweet. It's better to end it early. It won't delay young Master Xia, nor will it wrong me, and it won't cause us to be awkward about the marriage in the future, harming the reputations of both households. I paused, raised my eyes to look at the emperor, not a trace of fear in them. I only ask your Majesty's grace, that after the engagement is dissolved, the two households, Su and Xia, will have no further entanglement, and in the future each will be at peace, never interfering with one another. Xie Xing recovered his senses, his expression complex, seemingly reluctant, and at the same time stung by my calm attitude. He had intended to seize the opportunity of the break-off to show off his backbone and, by the way, humiliate me, but he did not expect that I would not play by the usual rules, and instead showed that his insistence on breaking off the engagement was a bit petty. He couldn't help but speak up. "Qing Yin, you." "Sir Xia." I raised my hand to interrupt him, my tone cool, devoid of any emotion. "After the engagement is dissolved, you and I will be strangers. There is no need to call me Qing Yin again. From now on you climb your high branches. I live my days, and we will be nothing to each other." These words were straightforward and sharp, piercing Xie Xingyao's thoughts and completely shattering his notion of controlling me. Seeing this, the emperor laughed loudly, his tone full of approval. "What a perceptive woman. Since the two of you have no intention of marriage, I grant it. Proclaim my decree. Dissolve the engagement between Su Qingyin and Xie Xingyao. From now on the two households Su and Xie are not related to each other, and no one may fuss over the engagement matter with either party. Your Majesty's grace." Xie Xingyao and I cowed out in unison, but his expression grew uglier, and in my heart there was only a sense of relief at getting the great grievance settled. The humiliation of my past life is finally avenged today. As I exited the great hall, sunlight shone on me but could not dispel the chill that ran to my bones. I know that withdrawing the betrothal is only the first step. Xie Xingyao will not let this rest, and rumors in the capital will come one after another, and the pressure from the family will be unavoidable. But I am not afraid at all. The hardships of my past life have already tempered me into a solid will. This life, I will protect the Su family, avenge the wrongs, live out my own style, and never repeat the mistakes of the past. Back at the Su residence, unsurprisingly, my parents were already waiting in the main hall, their expressions grave. Before I could bow in greeting, my mother hurried forward, grasping my hand, her eyes reddening. "Qing Yin, how could you accept the betrothal cancellation so merrily here in the Great Hall? Do you know how you will establish yourself in the capital from now on?" The father sat upright in the main seat, his face so heavy it seemed capable of dripping with water, and his tone was full of anger and helplessness. "You are too willful. Xie Xingyao insists on breaking off the engagement, but you shouldn't be so decisive either. At least you should discuss it with the family, so as to leave a little room for the Su family and to pave a retreat for yourself. He has always placed importance on family face and relations between the two households. Now that I so decisively agree to withdraw from the engagement, it will undoubtedly make the Su family the laughingstock of the capital." I patted my mother's hand softly to soothe her, then looked at my father. My tone was calm yet firm. "Father, mother, your daughter has not been willful. Xie Xingyao insisted on ending the engagement precisely to cling to the daughter of the princess. Even if I persist today and preserve the engagement, should I marry into the Xie family in the future, I will only be mistreated by him, and might even drag the Su family down as a pawn to cling to power." I paused, repressing the thought of rebirth, and changed the wording. "My daughter has long seen through her character. A person so cold and selfish is not worthy of me spending my life on, much less worth the Su family's effort. But your reputation is damaged. How will you find a good match in the future?" Mother wiped her tears, worry filling her heart. "Among the noble-born in the capital, who would be willing to marry a woman who has been divorced? My dear daughter, there is nothing to fear." My eyes were full of resolve. Of course reputation is important, but compared to marrying the wrong person and dragging the family down, what is a few rumors? If a daughter has a dowry to rely on and the ability to manage the family business, even if she never marries, she can live a prosperous life. Moreover, those who truly value a daughter won't care whether she has been divorced. They will only look at her character and abilities. Just as they were talking, a servant reported that Xie Xingyao had arrived at the door. His face changed color, and his tone turned hostile. "He has the nerve to show up. Get him out of here." I raised my hand to stop my father. "Father, let him in. Some things must be spoken face to face, settled once and for all, so he won't come back to pester us in the future." Xie Xing walked into the main hall, wearing a moon-white brocade robe. His posture was upright, yet the complexity and unwillingness in his brows could not be concealed. He looked at me, his tone tinged with caution. "Qing Yin, Today in the Great Hall, did you deliberately anger me? I know you still have me in your heart. If you admit your fault, I will beg His Majesty to retract the order to break the engagement, and we will set a new wedding date. Okay, I sneer softly, with a cold tone. Young Master Xia, you probably overestimate yourself. I am truly willing to call off the engagement today. I genuinely do not want to marry you, and it is not a threat. Since you have chosen to cling to the daughter of the Grand Princess, you should go and win her favor properly. Do not come entangling with me again, lest you provoke the Grand Princess and end up losing more than you gain. Xie Xingyao's face instantly flushed red, and his tone turned more furious. Su Qingyan, you have no shame at all. I turned back to find you solely to save face for the Su family. Do you really think anyone else besides me would want a woman like you, one who has broken off her marriage? My marriage will not trouble you. Young Master Xia, I slowly stood up, back straight, meeting his gaze without a ripple in my eyes, only a chilling coldness. I am the legitimate daughter of the Su family. Even if our family once fell, I am by no means a mere trifler to be trifled with. Thousands of acres of good land, and shops for many, were laid as a foundation by my mother since childhood. Even if I never marry, I can preserve the family affairs and live securely. Who would not covet me then? But young Master Xia, clinging to power and stepping on others to rise. Your foundation is essentially hollow. Should you lose the protection of the Princess Dowager, today's splendor will vanish in an instant. These words stabbed to the core. Xie Xingyao trembled with rage. Yet I left him speechless. He glared at me hard, threw down a line. You will regret this. And swept away, his silhouette desolate and furious. After Xie Xingyao left, the rumors in the capital came as expected. Some said I was arrogant because of favor. Some said I was fickle and ungrateful. I paid no attention to it at all, only having people quietly gather evidence of Xie Xingyao currying favor with the Princess Dowager and repressing rivals, while I began to prepare my dowry industries. In my previous life, I handed over all the dowry willingly to Xie Xingyao, and in the end he gifted them all to the daughter of the Grand Princess, leaving me with nothing. This time, I will never repeat the same mistake. I had someone audit the dowry accounts and found that the steward was secretly skimming shop profits. I immediately ordered him to be expelled from the Su Manor and reappointed reliable personnel to manage things. I also personally went to the plantations and shops to inspect them and establish new regulations. In just a few days, the enterprises began to improve. My parents, seeing me so capable and so resolute, gradually relaxed, stopped trying to dissuade me, and instead gave me their full support. I know that to completely shed Xie Xingyao's entanglement and to protect the Su family, I must become strong myself. Rumors will eventually fade, and only strength can help me establish myself in the capital and make those who once humiliated me pay the price. The days running the business are busy yet fulfilling. I have gradually shed the delicate airs of a guileless young lady, gaining a steadiness and efficiency. Every morning I go to the shop to reconcile the accounts. In the afternoon I stay at the house to study classic works on business. In the evening I take the maid with me to inspect the harvest at the fields and ranches, or discuss cooperative matters with fellow merchants. Life is thriving, and the rumors about me in the capital have gradually faded, with some people even beginning to admire my courage and talents. That day, I went to the fabric shop on Shijia to check on business. Just as I arrived at the shop's door, a group of ruffians surrounded the shop assistant, demanding protection money. The assistant pleaded in every possible way, but they grew more arrogant, even threatening to smash the shop. The local people around them scattered, and no one dared to intervene. These ruffians had officials backing them. Ordinary families simply couldn't afford to provoke them. This fabric shop is one of my dowry items, recently reorganized, and if it were broken, the losses would be enormous. I was about to ask someone to go to the government office to report it when a tall, straight silhouette quickly strode forward. The visitor wore a dark-colored brocade robe, his face stern, with a dignified air between his brows and eyes, exuding a formidable presence that warned strangers away. The accompanying guards advanced and promptly boxed in the ruffians. Stop. The man's voice was deep, not loudly spoken, but it carried an undeniable coercive force. The gangsters turned back, seeing him dressed in luxurious clothes with extraordinary bearing. They were momentarily filled with awe, yet still pretended to be arrogant. "Who are you? How dare you meddle in my affairs? Hold your manners," the accompanying guards sternly scolded. "This is Master Xiao, dare you speak out of turn?" The gangster, upon hearing the 3 words, "Master Xiao," his face changed at once, kowtowing and begging for mercy. "You small fry have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. I did not know this was Master Xiao. Please spare me, Master Xiao." With that, he rolled and crawled away, soon vanishing from sight. A thought struck me. Master Xiao, could he be Xiao Yanci, who recently rose to prominence for reforming officials and severely punishing corrupt officials? He hails from a distinguished family, yet does not rely on his background to flaunt power. With his own scheming and talents he rose step by step, now serving as the chief inspector, upright and incorruptible, deeply favored by His Majesty. Yet his temperament is cold. He rarely socializes with people, rumored to avoid women, and is entirely devoted to his duties. Xiao Yanci turned to the cloth shop assistant and spoke calmly. "If anyone causes trouble in the future, report it to the official authorities directly, or send someone to fetch me." The guy hurriedly bowed his thanks, saying, "Thank you, Lord Xiao. Thank you, Lord Xiao." Xiao Yanci slightly nodded and turned to leave. His gaze unintentionally fell on me. He paused for a moment, then bowed. "Nice to meet you, Miss Su." He evidently knew about my breaking off the engagement with Xie Xingyao, yet he did not mention it, nor did he show any contempt. His tone respectful yet distant, perfectly measured. I hurriedly returned the greeting, speaking humbly. "I have seen Lord Xiao. Today I am grateful for your lordship's intervention, saving my cloth shop. A great kindness. I, Su, shall never forget it." A mere gesture of a helping hand. Miss Su need not dwell on it, Xiao Yanci said softly, his gaze resting on me with a hint of inquiry. Yet he did not ask further. "Since Miss Su is the owner of this cloth shop, if you encounter trouble again in the future, you may send someone to the Ministry of Revenue to seek me. Thank you for your lordship's concern." I once again expressed my gratitude, feeling a growing fondness for him. In my previous life, my eyes were fixed only on Xie Xingyao, and I never paid attention to how upright and transparent Xiao Yanci was. Today, upon meeting him, I realized he was by no means as selfish and cold as Xie Xingyao. His steadiness and integrity gave people an inexplicable sense of security. Xiao Yanci gave a slight nod, no longer saying more, and turned to leave with his guards. His back was steady and upright, exuding a righteous air. I looked at his silhouette, a peculiar feeling stirring in my heart, but I quickly suppressed it. At present, my top priority is to grow stronger and protect the Su family. As for a good marriage, let it be natural. Back at the textile shop, the men hurried forward to report, their voices trembling. "Miss, those scoundrels caused trouble twice before. They robbed the silver from the cash register and even smashed 2 bolts of cloth. We were afraid the matter would blow up, and since we know there are people backing them, we didn't dare to report it honestly." I tap the counter with my fingertips, and my gaze grows serious. Without a careful look, I can already guess it was Xie Xingyao's doing. He sees I'm doing well and can't help but jump out to cause trouble. I immediately ordered, double the staff for every shop and village. Assign guards at night. Also have someone investigate which officials these rascals are attached to, and record the evidence as well. Finally, I added, prepare a modest gift. And tomorrow morning I will personally go to the censorate to express my thanks. We are not only repaying today's act of rescue, but also seeking a reliable ally for the Su family. From now on, as we establish a foothold in the capital, having one more layer of reliance means one less risk. After that incident on Cece Street, Xiao Yanchen and I happened to run into each other several times, sometimes in tea houses. He would discuss reforming officials' conduct with others while I happened to come to audit shop accounts. Sometimes in a pawn shop, I would appraise the antiques among the dowry, and he would handle some trifling official matters. In every chance encounter, he treated people with humility. Though he spoke little, his words were always appropriate. He never purposely pryed into my private affairs, nor would he look down on me for my broken engagement. Instead, he would occasionally discuss a few glimpses of the business world with me, and his words showed clarity and foresight. I gradually let down my guard and would occasionally ask him for advice on legal matters. Handling the business inevitably involves some disputes, but with his guidance I always avoid many detours. Xiao Yanxi never gives perfunctory answers. Every time he explains patiently, and he even helps me analyze the situation and offers reasonable suggestions. This openness and sincerity make me admire him more and more. Looking back at Xie, since the last time I refused him, the unwillingness in his heart has grown deeper. He saw that I was thriving in managing my enterprises, and his opinion of me gradually reversed. Then he heard that I was in close contact with Xiao Yanxi, and he panicked at once. He had thought I would fall into ruin and cry for her to turn back, but he did not expect that I would live brighter than before, and I even gained Xiao Yanxi's favor. Xiao Yanxi's power and prestige far exceed those of the Princess Dowager. If I could establish a relationship with him, the Su family would surely rise again, and I could completely free myself from his control. That day, a flower viewing banquet was held in the capital, attended by members of noble families and court officials kin. I initially did not want to go, but my mother persuaded me to go out more, socialize a bit, build some connections, and lay the groundwork for the future. Reluctantly, I could only change into a simple, elegant RU skirt to go. At the banquet, not long after I sat down, Xie Xingyao proactively came over, his tone carrying a bit of humility and pleading. Qingyan, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so foolish as to cling to the Princess Dowager's daughter. The one I have always loved in my heart is you. If you give me another chance, I will cut off all dealings with the Princess Dowager's daughter, and replead to the Emperor to cement our engagement. Is that good? His voice wasn't loud, but enough for the people nearby to hear. Instantly, all eyes swung toward him, some curious, some mocking, and some waiting to see my joke. The Princess Dowager's daughter was also present. Upon hearing this, her face instantly went pale, and she glared fiercely at Xie Xingyao, but restrained herself due to the crowd's gaze and did not dare to act. I slowly stood up, in a cold tone with no emotion. Young Master Xie, you don't need to burden yourself so. What you have always loved is not me, but Power Anne. Previously you insisted on breaking off the engagement to cling to Princess Chang. Now you turn back to me because you see my close dealings with Lord Xiao and the possibility of the Su family rising again. And you want to hitch yourself to Lord Xiao through me. Your thoughts are too dirty. I will not associate with you. Xie Xingyao's face instantly flushed to a pig liver color, and his tone carried a touch of urgency. It's not Qingyan. I am truly repentant. Do you believe me? Truly repentant. I sneer softly, a smile not reaching my eyes. The sarcasm in my tone is sharp as a blade. Young Master Xie, you have never understood what true repentance is, only how to curry favor and forget righteousness for profit. Previously you abandoned me to cling to Princess Chang for power. Now seeing that I am favored by Lord Xiao and the Su family has a sign of rising, you come back to coax. Still for, if today you can betray the daughter of the princess, tomorrow you can betray me and the Su family for even higher power. I, Su Qingyan, will never marry for life, and I will never be entangled with a cold-hearted person like you again. Xie Xingyao, shamed and furious from how I spoke, reached out to grab my wrist, intending to force me to agree. At this moment, a calm voice rang out with undeniable authority. Young Master Xie, let go. Everyone looked toward the source, and saw Xiao Yanxi striding over quickly in a black brocade robe, his face stern and his eyes coldly fixed on Xie Xingyao. He encircled me with his aura, protecting me behind him without making a sound, and spoke with a chilly tone. Young Master Xie, Miss Su has already broken off the engagement with you. You persist in pestering her and even resort to violence. This is not only rude but also presumptuous. Xie Xingyao's face paled the moment he saw Xiao Yanxi, and he hurriedly loosened his grip, his voice tinged with a measure of fear. Sir Xiao, what happened between Su and me is our private matter. Please, Sir Xiao, do not interfere. Miss Su does not wish to entangle with you. So this matter is no longer your private affair. Xiao Yanqi's tone was icy. If you dare to offend Miss Su again today, do not expect me to hold back. I will report this to the emperor and punish you for the offense. His tone was firm, and the cold look in his eyes made Xie Xingyao instinctively tense, not daring to show any more movement. The crown princess, seeing this, hurriedly stood up to smooth things over. Master Xiao, please calm down. Xie Xingyao was just momentarily confused. I'll take her back to discipline her properly. With that, she forcibly dragged Xie Xingyao away. As Xie Xingyao left, she cast me a fierce glare, eyes full of malice and unwillingness. But she ultimately did not dare to stay any longer. The people around them, seeing this, began to discuss among themselves. The sight of me earned a few more respectful looks, while the gaze toward Xiao Yankai carried a bit more scrutiny and fear. Xiao Yankai turned his head to look at me, and his tone instantly softened a little. Are you all right? I shook my head, my eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Lord Xiao, for stepping in to help. I'm fine. If it weren't for him today, I'm afraid I would have been harassed by Xie Xingyao for a long time, or even publicly humiliated. Xiao Yanxi nodded slightly, his tone gentle. If he dares to bother you again in the future, don't be polite, simply tell someone to inform me. His gaze was clear and sincere, carrying a touch of barely noticeable gentleness that warmed my heart. After the flower-watching banquet, the matter of Xie Xingyao clinging to me quickly spread throughout the capital. People no longer dared to mock me as an abandoned fiancé, but instead praised my clarity and self-possession, my composure without servility or arrogance, and praised Xiao Yan's words as upright and righteous, protecting me thoroughly. Xie Xingyao, by contrast, was ridiculed by the capital's young elites for being opportunistic and disrespectful to the woman, and the Grand Princess gradually grew weary of him and stopped supporting him. His situation grew increasingly difficult. After the scene at the flower viewing banquet, my exchanges with Xiao Yanxi, gradually increased. He will proactively invite me to a tea house, discussing governance, people's livelihoods, and commercial insights with me. He will rush to help me the moment I encounter difficulties in managing my ventures. When there are more rumors and slanders about me in the capital, he will take discreet action to clarify and protect me. I gradually realize that Xiao Yanxi is not only upright, shrewd, steady, and reliable, but also meticulous, gentle, and considerate. He respects my ideas, supports my decisions, and never treats me as the bindweed clinging to him, but as a partner walking side by side with him. I gradually let go of the past in my heart as well, and began to calmly accept this friendship. I will accompany him to patrol the region, help him organize the people's grievances accounts. I will bring him a cup of hot tea when he is tired from handling official duties. I will use my business connections to help him gather evidence and diffuse crises when he faces exclusion from the morning court officials. The two people get along harmoniously, without the need to pretend to please, without the need to be cautious, only need to treat each other honestly, and that is enough. That day, Xiao Yanxi visited. There was no talk of official duties, nor about industries. They simply sat in the corridor, looking at the crabapple blossoms blooming in the courtyard, speaking earnestly. Qingyan, I know you have experienced a lot and endured many grievances. I can't promise to give you endless glory in the future, but I can promise that in this life you are the only one, to protect you completely, never let you suffer half a grievance again, never let the Su family be bullied again. I want to ask for your hand in marriage. I wonder if you would be willing to marry me. I looked into his sincere eyes, and the ice in my heart completely melted. In a previous life, I was obsessed with Xie Xingyao, to the point of exhausting myself to keep him, only to end up with injuries and my entire family slaughtered. Now I have met Xiao Yanxi, he has given me respect, trust, and a sense of security, and the unequaled affection and stability I once sought but could not obtain in my past life. My eyes reddened, and I nodded softly. I am willing. Xiao Yanxi, seeing this, a glimmer of light appeared in his eyes. He reached out and carefully held my hand. His palm was warm and strong, giving me a full sense of security. Thank you, Qingyan. His tone was full of sincerity. I will certainly not let you down. Nor the Su family. Xiao Yanxi sent word to the Su family with a betrothal request, and it spread quickly throughout the capital. Everyone was astonished. No one expected that Xiao Yanxi, powerful and indifferent to women, would actively seek to marry a woman who had been divorced. Some mocked him for picking up a discarded woman, while others envied the good fortune of being able to latch onto this high branch of Xiao Yanxi. But neither Xiao Yanxi nor I cared at all. We lived life for ourselves, not needing to care about others' opinions. After hearing the news, Xie Xingyao completely lost his mind. He never expected that I could truly find someone better than him, nor did he expect that I would marry the immensely powerful Xiao Yanxi. He was not willing to accept it and came again to hassle me, only to be blocked at the door by Xiao Yanxi's guards, unable to even step onto the gates of the Su estate. Later I heard that Xie Xingyao, having lost the support of the crown princess, and having previously suppressed his rivals and accrued too many enemies, was impeached and stripped of all official positions. The Xie family likewise gradually declined and eventually fell to commoners. He himself, filled with unfulfilled ambitions, died not long after. When I heard the news, there was not a ripple in my heart, only relief. The grudges from my past life were finally resolved, and those who had bullied and hurt me paid the price they deserved. Our wedding with Xiao Yanqi was simple yet grand. The emperor and empress personally sent congratulatory gifts, and officials from the court came to congratulate, demonstrating the high regard for Xiao Yanqi and also showing that Su family and I had finally shaken off our former misfortune and stood up again. On the day of the wedding, Xiao Yanqi wore a bright red wedding gown and came to fetch me himself. She looked at me with gentleness and cherished eyes. "Qingyan, from now on you will be my wife. I will protect you for a lifetime, through calm years and storms." After marrying into the Xiao family, I indeed began a life of stability I had never dared to dream of in the previous life. Xiao Yanxi kept his promises, with no concubines or consorts in the mansion, no disputes, and harmony between superiors and subordinates. He governed the administration from abroad, severely punishing corrupt officials, and every measure benefited people's livelihoods, earning the people's support. He gradually became a trusted and important minister whom the emperor relied on. I keep watch over the back courtyard, manage the household affairs in an orderly fashion, while also deepening my own business and expanding the shop to neighboring prefectures and counties. I also use my connections in the business world to help him collect evidence of corrupt officials and embezzlement, and to secure grain and provisions for public duties. We were never anyone's dependent. We truly stand together as equals. He understands the past and resilience in my eyes, and I know the ambition and sense of responsibility in his heart. In our spare time, we would admire flowers and practice calligraphy together in the courtyard, go to the countryside to enjoy the greenery, check the storefronts business together, and safeguard the Su family and the Xiao residents. When mother saw that I lived happily, the worry in her eyes finally disappeared. Father was also very pleased with Xiao Yankai, and the two families got along harmoniously, filled with joy. On a winter's afternoon, the warm sun streamed through the window lattice and fell onto the desk. I leaned against Xiao Yanxi's side, watching him review memorials, my fingertips occasionally brushing away ink stains along the edge of the inkstone for him, my heart filled with a steady sense of reassurance. In a past life, I knelt on the golden bricks of this grand hall, crying my heart out for someone unworthy, and ultimately ended with a ruined family, dying with resentment in my heart. In this life, I shed my foolishness, calmly cut off doomed relationships, stood firmly on my own merits, and met Xiao Yanxi. He protects me, respects my nature, and endured the passing years with me, sharing in my glory. In the end, letting go of the wrong person allows you to meet the right one. Escaping the shackles of fate lets you live your own brilliant life. In this life, I finally clenched my own fate tightly and lived the way I wanted. And I met the person who can walk beside me and guard me for life. From now on, for the rest of my days, year after year, there will be stability and glory.